Hello, friends. Hello. Welcome back to the moon video. Myself and Sarah are really happy to be here with you to share about the energies of the upcoming new moon in Taurus, which is happening on April 27th. I don't have the time in front of me at this moment, but it is April 27th. I can tell you that. And when I connected in with the energies of this new moon, I literally saw the words, hold the line, hold the line. And then I got flooded with this really kind of strong sense of stubbornness, but it wasn't so much stubbornness like, I don't want it. It was more of like, no one can force me to do what I don't want to do, like that kind of stubbornness. And there was a really big activation in my root chakra. And there was also this sense of like this connection that we have with Earth, this connection we have within our own root chakra to Earth is unbreakable. When we really make that connection, it is unbreakable. So that's just kind of what came through intuitively. And when I was feeling into it, instead of the theme being hold the line, it was really more about like hold a desired energetic vibration, being able to really hold a sense of this is how I want to feel. Can I maintain this within me for like 5 seconds longer, 10 seconds longer? An hour, which like sometimes I could be like, whoa, an hour. In an hour, I can go all the way like this in terms of emotion.
Right? I feel
you
you
know,
on that.
but we can practice kind of holding a certain frequency for longer. And that was a big theme with this Taurus new moon. Now, there is some interesting astrology with this lunation, which we'll dive into in just a second, and Sarah will share a lot of supportive, helpful information around. But before we even dive into that, just a little bit about Taurus energy. Taurus is the fixed Earth sign. Taurus is known for being extremely practical, extremely pragmatic, very grounded, very earthy, loves comfort, loves luxury, but not like luxury, like high end, but like luxury, like, oh my gosh, I
High
love the way this,
quality.
yeah, like high quality, or just, I really like the way that this almost like sensual luxury is more what I mean.
Complete. Yeah.
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 It's both.
Um,
Definitely for sure.
yeah.
Some
But
some Taurus energy loves the luxury, but it doesn't necessarily mean like expensive. It just
right.
means it feels good, like you said,
Exactly.
sensory.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like kind of a sensual type luxury. On the shadow side, Taurus energy is known to be pretty stubborn. To also like sometimes move at a snail's pace, like
Yeah.
real slow, and to avoid
Steady.
change.
Yeah. It can
To
also be a little bit possessive
oh
as
yeah.
well on the more shadow side.
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes a bit too materialistic, depending
Yeah.
on how far you want to go. But that's not, materialism isn't always a bad thing. Like we said, it's nice to honor your senses.
Yeah.
But if it's going beyond your senses and really leaning into that, let me just have expensive things, then it might not be
Yeah.
so beneficial.
Or if you think that in order to be healed, I need to have that grounding that, right? Like that can be a little bit of like, do you
Yeah.
really? Or you can just put your feet in the earth. You know what I mean? Like
Right. There's a
put
lot
your feet
of
on some grass.
right. There's a big sense of like your security. That's all like
Yeah.
what makes you feel secure. That's
Yeah.
tied in with Taurus. And so when it's also in line with materialistic goods, sometimes those two can get a little too connected, where we think that we
Hmm.
need to have, the mansion in order to be secure, or this much money in order to be secure. But
Yeah.
there's lots of other ways that we can tap into what makes us feel secure,
Yeah.
which is also why Taurus rules values and what we value. So all those things kind of are in the same box when we're looking at at Taurus energy.
That's really interesting. I knew that Taurus had so much to do with our values and our comforts, but I never really considered Taurus to have that much to do with our sense of security. But now that you say that, I'm like, yeah, I see that. And it's really interesting for me as a Cancer, Sun and Rising, because Cancer is also very well known for being pretty focused on safety. And in fact, one of the reasons Cancers are known for being so intuitive is because we're kind of hyper vigilant because we're like, where's the danger? Where's the danger? Where's the
Where's
danger?
the exits?
Yeah,
Yeah.
where my little crab
Yeah.
claws, like, where do I have to protect myself? Which actually
Right,
leads
right.
to like a lot of intuition, which is cool, but like the fear part of it isn't as great. But like for me, I'm like, oh, and my Taurus moon. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Part of why I really work through, fear responses on a personal level. So yeah,
And the moon is the planet that also, or luminary that
yeah.
rules what also makes us feel secure. So you got like double right there with
Oh,
the
I'm
Taurus
all
moon.
moon, right?
Yeah.
Because the moon rules Cancer.
Yeah.
So like my sun, my like everything is moon for me. Like it's all just moon.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very true.
Which is
Which
probably
is why
good
you're
why
my
I'm
moon
doing what I'm
maiden.
doing. Like, why I'm
Yeah,
a moon messenger,
exactly.
why I have a moon
Yes,
community. Like I am the moon. So
you are.
um
Very true.
yeah. So it's really interesting that there's fear that I think sometimes can be associated with Taurus and with this particular lunation, with some of the astrology at play, there's going to be some anger.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be some anger because of the fact that this new moon in Taurus is making a T square with Pluto and Mars, two planets that are pretty much known for aggression.
And violence.
Mars is
Yeah.
really like the punch, punch, fight, fight, and Pluto's like the shoot, shoot, like war, war.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Pluto, Pluto has our survival
Mm,
needs feel like they're, when it's activated in a certain way, it can have us feeling like our survival needs aren't being met.
right.
And I mean, think about like if you're feeling unsafe or if you're feeling like you're not going to have access to food, like your response is going to be a bit more animalistic, right? We're going to do anything to survive. Like we turn into a completely different type of person when we feel like, oh, I might die.
Yeah,
So it really turns into this kind of fight or flight energy that is fear-based because,
right.
people don't want to die. So
True.
add
I
that
mean, we're
with
all going
the
there, but none of us want it, right? Like,
add that with the aggression
yeah,
and,
Mars.
war that comes with Mars. And it's just not really good mix, especially when they're opposing each other because that means they're both in the same room. They're looking at each other, being like, "I don't like what you're doing, and I don't like what you're doing." So we have these two planets that are intense, Pluto, and angry, Mars, not liking each other
And
and not
meanwhile, the
getting along.
moon's there, like, what am I supposed to do?
And they're both the moon is the focal point of this T square, which means they both don't like each other, but they're emoting all of these energies through the moon, which rules
Uh,
our emotions, our sense of security. And so it can be very easy during this new moon to feel really activated, really triggered, and all of that come through our emotions. If it were another planet, I don't know, say Mercury that was the focal point, then all of these like intense, angry thoughts could really be coming through, or intense, angry things can be coming through in our thoughts or in our communication. We can get snappy or be thinking really negatively, but because there are emotions, I feel like we're really going to be feeling it,
yeah,
which obviously, correlates with our thoughts and our actions and all these different things.
right.
But it's not going to be so much in our mind as it is in our hearts and in the way that we are
Yeah.
feeling. Yeah.
And also note, like, even if you yourself might not be feeling the transit in that intense way, people around you very likely will be.
Yeah,
And so that will come out in their behaviors as well.
absolutely. I
Which
do
is,
want to note,
yeah.
oh, go ahead. No.
No, no, you go first. You go first.
I I do want to note that this Mars opposite to Pluto transit is one that has been part of a larger cycle that we've been feeling since November.
Yeah. God.
Because I know. We normally only get Mars opposite Pluto once every 2 years, which
Ugh, it's been
we can
three
handle that.
times since November.
But 3 times since November because we've had a Mars retrograde and this transit has landed in that Mars retrograde. So the good news is that this could be this could offer a closing of a cycle type energy.
Okay. Power of
Think back
three.
to what's that?
I said the power of three.
That's right. I
Hmm.
think the first one was on November 2nd. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
The second one was on January 2nd.
Mm.
And this is the third and final one. So if you want to think back to those moments, which I know at least in the US on a collective level,
Oh my gosh. I feel like the
um,
astrology's been so literal this whole like last 2 years.
it really has. So hopefully we're coming to like a closing cycle of whatever
I
that
hope
means.
so.
And luckily, it's on a new moon,
Yeah.
so it means a new beginning, especially in Taurus, of like, okay, you know what? Taurus energy is like it's not Aries where it's like new seeds are being planted. It's like I know what the stakes are, I know what we're dealing with. Let's find what's working and keep going with the things that are
Yeah.
working.
It's like
So I
sustainable growth. It's sustainable
yeah,
action. It's like I'm in it for the long haul.
right. So I do like that connection within this. I will say the new moon is on the 27th, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
And the Mars opposite to Pluto exactitude is the day before. So all of this isn't
Okay.
perfectly exact,
Yeah.
um, but they're
I
all within a
like
day.
that it's happening the day before because I
Yeah,
feel like it almost puts us through that activation right before we get into that energy of like, wait, we can use our stubbornness to come back to ourselves now after that activation and like hold that by more desired frequency into this new moon and into what we want to create from it. So I
yeah,
do feel like that intuitive hit that I got about like holding a desired frequency is in response to this kind of Mars Pluto activation.
yeah, exactly. And one last thing I'll just speak on for the astrology while we're on a supportive tangent here, is that this new moon, the previous full moon, and the next few lunations that we're going to have, um, are cradled by this energy of Uranus sextile to Saturn, as well as sextile to Neptune. So these are all outer planets making big moves and supportive moves here that are really about making changes that take steps towards some sense of freedom,
Mm,
that are sustainable thanks
mhm.
to Saturn and that are more humanitarianism thanks to
Yeah,
Neptune. Maybe a little confusing at first because we're creating, like, I feel like we're at a time where we're creating stuff that's totally different and we've never done before. So that's where the
yeah,
confusion comes in. But Neptune rules imagination and thinking of new things that we hadn't thought of before and our ideals. And so bringing that together with Saturn and Uranus, I feel like that is just kind of this overarching energy. Um, so although things may feel tense,
yeah,
that tensity is what is going to push us to actually make change,
yeah.
which is so vital during this time and during this astrology.
Very interesting. Yeah, like that tension you describe reminds me often how in when we talk about like the universe, it's like that tension, like the friction even within the universe that kind of keeps the universe expanding. It is
How is
often
that?
that like friction, the tension that's created that keeps things growing, which is what you just shared. It's like it's that tension, that friction that inspires change. What I find really interesting with what you just shared also with like the confusion of this time. I mean, listen, we're both here in the United States of America. I think most of the people who watch these videos are as well, but some might not be. Yeah, things are not so great here in the United States of America with this current administration. And what I find really, really interesting, and I also feel like, why I feel like this administration will not stand the test of time is that it doesn't align with the consciousness of most of the people here anymore.
Right.
And I keep feeling like the moon keeps giving us this message of like, focus more on yourself, like, focus more on your own vibration, focus more on your own creations. Try as hard as you can. Yeah, yeah, we have to resist what's happening. But if we could pour that kind of resistance energy, that stubbornness that Taurus can bring in, if we could pour that more into what we want to create, into like what we are actively tangibly manifesting, because Taurus is all about bringing the non-physical into physical as well. That's a big thing that Taurus loves to do, is make things really tangible, make them really physical. I feel like if we can take some of that stubborn energy that we're even using to like fight back against what's happening, and instead just pour it into like us just keep holding that vision that we're creating, holding the frequency of a more desired shared future.
Right. I think what you said before is like pouring the resistance into what we're for rather than what
What we're
we're
against.
against.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I
And
mean
it's
are
not
both,
easy.
but also to keep space for creation
Right.
and
Right.
what we do want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And one of the things that I also intuited with this Taurus new moon had to do with co-creation with Earth. Like if we really trusted that Earth is helping us to create a more desired experience, not just for ourselves, but like for humanity in general. If we really trusted that Earth is like our supporter with this and working with this, how might that shift the way we're creating?
Yeah.
That was something that
That's
came through
beautiful.
as well. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, ways to work with this new moon. Definitely some healthy somatic practices for working through fight and flight are going to be really
Mhm.
wonderful. This could be a really nice rage ritual if you're feeling a lot of fight tendency, if you're feeling just really angry, instead of like, turning that onto yourself or turning that onto someone else. Give yourself a few minutes to go into the bedroom and have a little temper tantrum on your bed or scream into a pillow or, like if you can get to a kickboxing class, that can be fantastic, right? Like
Yeah.
just give yourself an opportunity to move with those energies. If you're feeling a lot of flight energy, which can often come out as anxiety or hypervigilance or just complete focused on productivity and not really feeling like you can relax, give yourself some opportunities to go for runs, shake your body, give your body a
Your body
chance
is
to kind of
saying,
like
yeah.
move in a way that it's not fleeing, but it kind of gives the body the sense of like I just escaped danger, right? Like I
Mhm.
ran, I got away. Like I got away. Like
Great.
finished.
I love that.
One of the things I like to do with flight energy is actually run in place as hard as I possibly can for a few seconds. And it just really helps me feel like, and I'm safe now. You know what I mean? Like I got away
I
for my
love
own
that.
harm.
I've never thought about that. Yeah. Like, right,
Ha,
fight
I
or
thought
flight.
you can't
Make
get
it.
me.
Yeah.
So those can be some really powerful ways to work with this Taurus New Moon energy. And then another really, really powerful way, and I shared this in the Moon blog, is a little energy practice for holding a desired energy frequency. So I like to use sensory memory for this. So, for example, let's say you want to feel really successful. You're like, I just want to hold the vibration of success in my body for 15 seconds, which might feel like very little, but holding a vibration for 15 seconds actually takes focus. It takes real focus. So I like to use sensory memory, which means I go to a memory in my experience, an actual memory where I felt a huge amount of success. And so I let that memory flood my entire body. I bring myself back to that moment, let it be right now, really feel authentically in my body in that moment, that energy of success. And then my job is to just hold that tone, hold that frequency. When my brain starts to wonder, nope, bring it back. We're holding this. And it really start with just like 3 seconds. And then next day, maybe do five. And then maybe try to work to 10 and then see if you can do 30 seconds. But it's part of what I like to do in some of my grounding practice. As I finish up my grounding, I like to hold a certain desired frequency for a little bit longer before I then go out on my day. And I think this is a really powerful new moon for that particular energy practice as well.
Mhm. I love that.
Yeah. Anything that was coming through for you in terms of ways to work with this moon, Sarah?
Um, all I suggest is that if you're feeling a lot of like all or nothing energy come through,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
might be hard to see the other side of things right now. So I just wouldn't be making any definitive decisions during this time. Just acknowledge that once this passes, you might be able to see the other side a bit more clearly.
Okay.
So it's okay if you're on one side right now, like just be there and be okay with being there and know that you might get to the other side in a few days.
Yeah. Yeah. So while this new moon definitely has energy of new beginnings, as every new moon does, this new moon definitely has a little bit of full moon vibes because it does feel like there's some emotional release happening with this
Yeah.
new moon as well. And every now and then we do have a new moon that does that. I do think that Mars-Pluto T square is a part of the release that we're feeling with this new moon as
Yeah.
well. And for those who are looking to for ways to work more intimately with this moon, please check out our community, the Intuitive Moon community, where we offer horoscopes and journal prompts and ways to work with every lunation. And then we also circle up for every new moon and full moon. And we'll be circling up for the Taurus new moon on Monday, the 28th, 29th. I can't remember what exactly which day it is. But it's the Monday right after the new moon, which is the
28.
28th. Yay. So it's just the day after. So we'll be
Yeah.
circling up at noon that day. We'll put all the links below. And if you're looking for some extra support, if you're looking for a community to come and be your authentic self and find belonging and find your magic again, please come join us in the Intuitive Moon community. And if you want more details about working with this particular Taurus new moon, you can also check out the moon blog, which is totally free and linked below as well. Thank you guys so much for being here with us. We'll see you in a few weeks for we just had Libra, so we're moving into Scorpio full moon, right?
Yes. Ooh, fun.
Yeah. Oh, I know that's gonna be fun. I like Scorpio energy.
Me
Anyway,
too.
okay. Well, thank you, friends, so much. Please, if you like this content, remember to subscribe, like, and share. And we're just so honored that you spend some of your valuable time here with us. So thank you so much for being here. We'll see you again in a few weeks. Happy new moon in Taurus. Hold that vibration, hold the line, hold your vision, hold your values. We got this.